American Morning, the most news in the morning, period. Weekdays 6 Eastern.
You support the move. You think that the release of those Bush-era memos on interrogation tactics was the right move and that it did not compromise national security. Explain your position.
Well, not at all. I mean, all those techniques are in the military manuals, which are on the internet. Most of that information, almost all of it, appeared in the New York Review of Books, in Mark Danner's article. The prisoners getting out have talked about what they were subjected to. It's not a secret. None of these techniques are a secret. So why not release it? I think what we really need to do is clear the air on torture. And my biggest objection is nobody until now has presented evidence that torture works, and I just don't see it.
Well, you know, it's interesting because not everybody sees it from your point of view, even people within the agency. Former Attorney General Michael Mukasey, also former CIA Chief Michael Hayden, have both said that they think that releasing the memos threatened national security. In fact, here's what Hayden said about it. Let's listen.
At the tactical level, what we have described for our enemies in the midst of a war are the outer limits that any American would ever go to in terms of interrogating an al-Qaeda terrorist. It describes the box within which Americans will not go beyond. To me, that's very useful for our enemies.
Hayden went on to say that it allows prospective terrorists insight into the precise limits of U.S. interrogations. Do you think he has a point there?
No. Look, this is an executive decision whether we use torture or not. That's very clear for the 8 years of the Bush administration. And we can go way beyond those limits if we want. If we're attacked again, this president is going to be faced with the same decision. Do we use abusive interrogation techniques? And you know, we don't have to be confined to this SEER or these military techniques. We can go way beyond it. It can change policy at any time. The question I have, does it compromise sources and methods? And the answer is no.
Here's what your fellow Time magazine columnist Joe Klein said. He talked about some concerns that the CIA and other clandestine operators have about the release, saying that it represents to them a, quote, breach of faith, that the release of the information will cripple the clandestine service and represents a grant of too much information to our enemies. He says that it might make it harder for them to do their job. It's something that the president alluded to, actually, when he was well received in his visit yesterday to the agency.
Well, you know, here's the thing, is that, yes, it is demoralizing the CIA. Anytime scandals appear in the press, it demoralizes the CIA. But this should have been thought of 7 years ago when this was started. That is not the CIA's job, is to do hostile interrogations. It's to collect classical espionage, which it was diverted from doing. And the CIA does best when it's left alone. This was a very political decision, and it was a mistake.